program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
We've woken up to many sounds of the bush this morning, including that of a family of wildebeest. And this is Safari Live.
Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good morning everybody and welcome to another Sunrise Safari. My name is Taylor and on camera with me today is Sebastian. Now this is a live and interactive safari and you can chat to us by hashtagging Safari Live on Twitter. Now something has just given the zebra the biggest fright. So we obviously started off with the wildebeest. You can see all of them. They did a big loop around us and came back up onto quarantine, from which they've just come. I can't understand why they did a loop like that, but they did. And then the zebra came charging out at quite a speed from where the tent is, running back up towards the big open plains again. It was very, very interesting. So I'm scanning back to see what it could have been. It is also exceptionally windy. The wind has picked up once again. So they could have just heard a very sort of small noise, maybe something like a branch breaking. Maybe they got a scent of something very quickly and they panicked. And they charged off out of the thicket and out to the open, which is probably a very good thing to do. Because by staying in that thicket, if there was a lion trying to catch one of the three species of animals that we have here, they would have probably succeeded a lot better than doing so out in the open. But they haven't alarmed though, so that's another thing. They've been fairly quiet, they're all grooming themselves. They did just run out into the open. But there's so many animals around here. I wonder if the lions didn't move through the open plains and perhaps heard these animals around, just like Tristan was saying yesterday, because they were all back up here. And there was a lion that called at about, what time was it? Just after 6 o'clock, and it sounded quite close to camp. I think that's what Tristan is going to be looking for today. He's going to try and find some of the Hosana Pride and hopefully a Birmingham boy or two. Wouldn't that be a very pleasant way to start the day? I think so. I think even just starting with this is quite fantastic. To see so many different species of animals all out in the open, which is quite fantastic. Hey boy and girls. Now Ginger, you're wondering what animals are behind the wildebeest? Those are Impala. They've just got their heads down, and I have to show you the complete disregard that Impala have for rules. Look at that, Sebastian. How dare they? This makes me very upset. You know, we've spent lots of time putting these no entry signs around, and then look at that. Excuse me, Impala, you're not supposed to go down there. Isn't that ridiculous? It just shows you that they can't read and write and they do whatever they want, and this is their land, and so they should be able to. But I thought that was actually just quite funny to have them walking down the road even though that says no entry. But anyways, they're quite relaxed. Now I'm just trying to figure out, I can hear Tristan chatting away on the radio. I don't know what he's talking about. I've got my radio turned down. But I want to go around very quickly just to this other road. See if we can get a better view of these animals. Now it is important, of course, that they do stay out in the open like they are at the moment. The light was a bit dark. It's just starting to change slightly now. You can imagine that very hazy light, that sort of twilight zone that you get to, definitely plays tricks on your eyes quite easily. So I just want to scan through here and make sure that whatever gave, if it was an animal that gave these zebra and wildebeest and impala a fright, maybe it hasn't just sat back down on the grass. It could have been a duiker that maybe came running out of the drainage line. That's quite easily gives many animals a fright. I've seen a duiker cause an entire stampede of a couple of hundred buffalo before across an open plain. I thought lions were chasing them. Nope. So that was quite funny. Lots of hyena tracks around, of course. but we normally expect that. I didn't hear them too much last night. Let's have a look at the zebra. Hello, zebbies. I wonder if this is the McCurdy herd. Are you the McCurdy herd? Are you? If you run away from me, don't run. It's me, your leader. It's very pretty. Golden grass. Sun's just about to start rising. Hasn't quite popped up over the horizon just yet. But that pink glow is where it should arise from. Oh, I really hope the Styx Pride comes to this area. They really need to, especially if they haven't caught anything just yet. This will be their best chances of catching something. And they need a big meal, those lions. They've started looking a little bit on the thin side. And remember what happens to animals that haven't eaten for a while, particularly predators. Their immune system becomes suppressed, they're weak, they're vulnerable, and you can have something like mange popping up again. That's what mange thrives on. So mange in animals is not very uncommon. We actually see it more than we think. The zebra are looking good though, but of course all their food is around and it's still got nice nutrients to it. So we must just watch, because I know those Styx cubs and even the adults started looking slightly scruffy. So they need to get something to eat. And well, a zebra would be a good meal, wouldn't it? Well, that was nice. You can hear the wind gusting, I'm sure. But we'll see if we stick around with these animals for a little bit longer. I'm going to send you across to Tristan now, who's hot on the heels of some cats.
Well, I don't know about hot on the heels just yet, Taylor. We're still struggling to find any signs of any lions, but, well, we've got signs of another type of cat. Now, as Taylor mentioned, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Craig, and it is a beautiful sunrise that is starting to happen on our eastern boundary. And I was saying that we have a sign of another cat, and it looks like a track for a male leopard. Now, I'm not sure if this is Tingana or Mvula, but it comes down the Buffelshoek boundary and is heading straight west. And it could be the cat that was heard last night on the dam cam. It's kind of just walking along the edge of the road there. You can see these little tracks there. They're not so little, but there is the track of this male leopard going down the road. And it looks like behind us it had a scuffle with some hyenas, because there's just hyena track and leopard track going all around the road and then carrying on down, and the hyenas carrying on the opposite way. So I wonder if it didn't bump into some hyenas last night. Now, it is a live interactive experience, so for all of you, thank you for letting us know about the leopard calling on the dam cam. But for those of you that are just joining us or are new to Safari Live, well, you can get hold of us on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, and we will try and answer any questions that you may have. Oh, does not sound very good, Wendy. I see these tracks are still going straight down the road. Now, hopefully, if it is Mvula, or he might be still around Tingana, well, Tingana we know walks very far very quickly, and that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge in terms of finding him. Now I have to just quickly check this road going north here, because maybe, just maybe, these tracks have gone this way, and it's difficult because I can't see over the bonnet as to where they go. Let's see. No, don't see any tracks there. No. Nope, just tracks for hyenas going back and forth, which is good. No, I can still see the leopard tracks. They're still heading straight down on my left-hand side. And do they go past this junction? I'm just trying to see if they carry on, but it looks like they go up towards Tambuti Dam, which is not a surprise if it is Mvula, because he loves spending time that side. So I think, unfortunately, those leopard tracks have crossed north. Indeed, it looks like it. Oh well, we tried. It's okay, that's how it goes. So far, no sign of any lions coming back south, though, which is interesting, because there was definitely a lion calling north of the camp, and I'm not sure that it's the same one that must be on Buffelshoek, because Jacana Dam is quite far north of where we are right now. So I don't think it can be the same lion, but evidently it looks like it might be. I can smell that dead hyena is still lingering in the air, and maybe that's why that leopard just went up that way and just had a little look. So for those of you who don't know, there was a hyena that at a dam just north of the boundary. We don't know which hyena. Russell, you're asking where the male lion that we saw at the end of Sunset Drive went. Russell, to be honest, I have no idea. The last time we heard about them was at 6:30 last night, which was when the last vehicle was with those lions. During the night, nobody stays with the lions all night. They're able to move around and do their thing. Is it going to be one of these mornings? It certainly looks like it. No, it's just hyena tracks. I thought it was maybe a leopard track going straight over. So nobody stays with the lions during the night. They're free to roam around and move around, and so we don't have any clue as to where they've gone. You'll find that what we have to do now in the morning is try and look for footprints, listen to where they're calling, and then hopefully we can find them. So the answer to that, Russell, is I'm not sure. I just know that they went further north into Buffelshoek and went towards the dam called Sydney's Dam, and that's where they were having a big drink. Apparently the whole Djuma Pride and that male had a drink there, and from there, well, we don't know. I might head back in that area now and just see if I can't find any sign of them, because there's no sign of any lions crossing south from this area, which would tend to suggest that either they've crossed further west of me, or I need to go and see somebody about my hearing because it is completely out. But while I sort of do that and turn around and go back towards the gate side and back to where the Djuma Pride was seen last night, so let's go back to Miss McCurdy, who I think has left her myriad of animals on the open area of quarantine, and let's see what she plans to do for the rest of the morning.
Well, I want to find out what your plans are first, Tristan. Alice, please can you ask Tristan if he's going to follow up on those leopard tracks or if he's searching for lions? And then I can make my decision. I know Tristan said he wanted to go after lions, but if he's on leopard tracks now, then I'm going to have to change my route very quickly, because those lions like to cross out in certain spots, and I'm now moving further and further away from that area. So let's just very quickly find out that. So I'm just going to wait for Alice's response now, because now I'm really going. We can have a look at the sunrise. Maybe we can get one little gap through here. There we go. Any luck, Alice? Okay, perfect. So Tristan is sticking to his plan, and he's going down via tele-access towards the gate, so we will check the southern section then. How beautiful is that? Isn't that lovely? Amazing how quickly it rises as well, because we were just looking at the horizon and it hadn't quite peeked over the top of the trees, but now it is. Very peaceful out here. Well, let's keep going. Let's go and see what else we can find, because I haven't got any tracks yet at all. We're just bumbling, and we will continue to bumble until we pick up on something or we find some animals. So I will keep checking the ground, see if anything has walked. It's still difficult light though. All my eyes are not working properly this morning. And maybe it was because I just looked at the sun. That's probably exactly why my eyes seem to not be doing the job they should, or they're supposed to do. Lots of hyena tracks around here too. Surprised we didn't actually hear them making a noise last night. Maybe it was because we were also fast asleep, and with that wind again, when it comes through camp, it's actually very difficult to hear anything other than the trees blowing around. But this weather is bizarre. I wonder if we're gearing up for a little cold spell, maybe a cold week. Oh no, I've been enjoying the weather so much, even when it is hot in the afternoon. It's been so pleasant. But the wind can go. That's fine, we don't need it. I suppose wind is important for various pollination reasons. I suppose we can't have it, not have it around all the time. Now I think we're probably going to go and check. What are we going to go check? The new road off of Impala Plains. We'll go and have a look and see if maybe Shadow and Cub is around there, but that's very far away still. We've got a number of different roads to check first before we get there. But all those animals are coming in this direction now. It'll be interesting to try and figure out where all the zebra came from. We know the wildebeest were down at the dam, and we know that their normal route. Oh, and we know where the zebra were. The zebra were down there too. I speak absolute nonsense. They've obviously just moved up this way. So what else do we have here? Who's this? check here to see what's going on. Old elephant. But even in the next 40 minutes or so, as soon as the sun sort of beams down onto the road, that's probably the best, because then it helps cast shadows and you can see the tracks a lot easier. They stand out in the road a little bit better. So yeah, I'd say morning, just because no vehicles, not many vehicles other than anti-poaching driving around in the middle of the night, so you've also got a better chance of seeing tracks. Afternoon is difficult, lots of people going up and down, in and out, fixing roads, all these types of things, and tracks can quite easily be completely wiped clean off of the road. I would say probably around there. Now I'm going to concentrate like I've never concentrated in my life before on this road, because yesterday morning when we didn't drive, it appears that Shadow and her cub were found on an Impala kill, and I think Tristan was telling you about this. We don't know if she scavenged it or if she was just hiding so well that we missed her for a few days, because a big Impala is not something that she would be able to devour in one go. Her and her cub would take some time to feed upon it, and I feel as though maybe I've been neglecting checking properly. So I do not want to make those same mistakes again. I want to make sure that I look underneath the base of every single tree. These trees that have been pushed over and are laying on their sides, I need to check them very carefully. We know Shadow doesn't like to take her kills up trees. She sort of feeds on the ground. Sometimes she sort of just hoists them on one of those broken trees. I've seen her do that before, but I've never seen her right at the top of a tree with a kill. And with this grass, we always talk about how long it is. It's still long. We haven't really had too many animals coming down, big herds, to completely graze it to a shorter level. So you can really, really miss the twitch of a tail above the grass, or a twitch of an ear just sticking up above the grass again. It seems to be quite quiet down here. I haven't seen any tracks, just the hyenas were going up and down, but that's normal. Morning, turtle doves. Nothing in Balanites tree today. You see my eyes, I keep thinking I'm seeing things, but I think it's just from looking into the sun. I need to close my eyes maybe for a little bit. And then open them again. Won't do that while I'm driving though, that'll be a disaster. Oh, I thought I heard an Impala snorting. It was not an Impala, it was just a vehicle driving on the boundary road up ahead. Still just hyena tracks here. No lion, no leopard just yet. And this road is very nice. Very sort of fine dust. So it leaves a track quite nicely in the ground. Now, Mary, you're wondering if leopards sleep in trees in winter. Most certainly. If I was a leopard first thing in the morning and say I'd gone out hunting or I was just taking a break and I was feeling a little bit chilly, if you look up at this marula tree over here, you'll see, look where the light first hits the tree, and it's of course the top of the tree. So we see birds, we see monkeys, squirrels, all coming out and sunning themselves as high in the tree as they can go, normally at the tops of the branches. Obviously a leopard wouldn't be able to sit up top there. They would prefer the bigger branches. Not to say it's impossible. I have seen leopards on some thin branches before and made me very worried that they were going to snap and collapse underneath their feet, but I suppose they do that when they're younger, when they're less experienced. So yes, Mary, leopards will sleep up in trees in the winter months, not just summer. Obviously it's a little bit cooler in summer to be off of the ground and also to keep the insects at bay. It's a strategy that a lot of animals have used, not only leopards but also seen cheetah up and climbing in trees, lots of footage of that. And then of course lions love to do that too. These hyena tracks actually don't also look that fresh. I think this is from late last night. With the wind, there's quite a bit of sort of, the tracks are quite distorted. It's coming quite open though, which is good, so we can start seeing further and further into the bushes. Let me just actually turn my radio on and make sure I'm not missing anything. So far nothing out here. Nothing on wasn't anything on Shadow's favorite termite mound. She loves the termite mound, that leopard, tell you that. Now Deanna, you're wondering, when I was still guiding guests, if I used to stop and get out and show my guests track. Most certainly, I used to do lots of tracking exercises with them. That was one of my favorite things to do on a walk. Obviously it's difficult to get people to climb out of a car. It sounds silly, but when you're in those vehicles, there's quite a few steps, and also first thing in the morning when you're freezing cold and you've got your blanket and your water bottle on your lap, the last thing you want to do is to have to take off of all of those layers and get out and come down to the ground. So normally we'd do just the classic lean up the side of the car, and they'd look over. I'd sort of park the car how I park it for you, so that the cameraman can see where exactly I'm pointing and talking about. But when I did walks, bushwalks, that was the greatest thing. We used to play games, and just like we do here, did the same things sort of with guests. Where is everything this morning? Come on. It's a nice day, it's not too windy here. Everyone's sleeping. We don't seem to be having too much luck with animals, we just have last minute animals. right at the last minute. Alright, what else have we got here? Well, what would really be a nice surprise would be is if we had wild dogs, of course. That would be the ideal situation. No one found those dogs. I was actually chatting to some guides the other day. Remember that morning we had all the wild dog tracks? No one found them. They snuck through all these properties. It just shows you how quick they are. I got excited. It was a Daker running out of the bushes and just in front of the Impala. Excuse me, boys. Coming through. Just gonna check this junction over here. Again, it's another nice spot to try and pick up on tracks. If anybody important was walking here, or any of the cats, you know, just Impala tracks. Warthog from yesterday. All very wind-blown tracks. Should we go and drive the car off of Buffelshoek Dam? There we go. I can't get this car into reverse ever. Something is severely wrong here. Cindy, you were wondering if the wind helps with anything else other than pollination. Well, it's a huge help to the predators. Obviously this morning we saw the wildebeest, the zebra and impala, and they didn't look like they were enjoying the wind too much. They never do, so they come out into the open, or if it's during the day they might head into sort of drainage lines to try and avoid the wind. So something that definitely happens is it muffles sound. Like I was saying, we couldn't even hear the hyenas last night. It does exactly the same thing for the predators. Now, when an animal stalks, they need to be so quiet and they need to move as slowly as they can to not draw too much attention to themselves. But when you've got a bit of wind on your side, on the side of the predators, then you can move slightly quicker. So remember, the longer, it depends. Sometimes if you wait too long, you miss your opportunity. Sometimes if you move too quickly, you reveal yourself. So stalking is a very difficult thing. I don't think I'd be able to stalk very well because I can't keep quiet. I'd have to heavily rely on windy days like this to try and help me. Ah, grey-headed bushshrike. Land, bird, land. Where are you? I'm gonna find you. There was a grey-headed bushshrike that just flew past the car. Now I'm trying to figure out where it... Shh, babblers. Now they're making a noise. You can have a look at... No, never mind. Babblers flew away. I don't know where that grey-headed bushshrike went to. It was right here. Sneaky. Check that tree. That's me doing a very poor attempt of the grey-headed bushshrike call. Right. Seems as though we're not really having any luck just yet, but I shall keep on persisting and looking for tracks. But while I do that, it seems as though Tristan is back from the gremlins and all sorts of other things. Let's go across to him.
Well, I am, Taylor. We had a slight little problem with our audio cable, and so quickly had to race back to camp, change the cable out, and well, hopefully now it's much better and we're not having any issues with that. And that will be the last of the times we have to go back to camp to see for anything. But on our journey back, we had no further signs of any lions or anything like that, so I want to quickly just check Galago Pan, given that it sounded like they were roaring somewhere from this area. If there's nothing here, then I'm going to go back west along the boundary, and I might just pop into the hyena den on my way there. So that's the kind of plan for the next few minutes, or I suppose not just a few minutes, more than that. And hopefully Taylor will get some luck. I'm sure she will somewhere along the line. She's bound to get lucky. Last night she had all the luck when she bumped into the lions, and she was telling me the story. It sounded quite funny as she was driving around, like spotlighting, not looking, and there was a lion right next to the road, and she was telling me that Craig was like whispering, "Lion, lion," and she just didn't see it at all, which is quite cool. It often actually happens like that when you're spotlighting at night. If you're not paying attention, you actually just shine straight past things. So I wonder how many times that's happened where we've just driven past something by sort of looking back at the camera. It'd be interesting to know, actually. We know we drive past many animals all the time, particularly the cats that are lying in the grass. You often find you'll drive past an area, and then sort of half an hour later, somebody will find a leopard casually sauntering down the road in that exact area. So it does happen from time to time, but it would be interesting to know just how often we drive past the leopards. Reckon pretty regularly. Well, whichever lion was calling, it's either ventriloquist or I've missed the tracks, because I didn't find any tracks crossing that boundary. It could have come from the south, of course, but we would have seen something on quarantine area if it had, and there was nothing there that I could find. So I have no idea how this lion got here or where it is in terms of its calling, because there's no tracks here at all. But we'll check the pan nonetheless. So ML, you're asking if leopards and lions ever purr. No, they don't. They don't have the ability to purr. They're not like other cats. They have a slightly different voice box system, and that means that they're able to roar and produce these big loud sounds, but not able to purr like the cheetahs and servals and caracals and all of those kind of things. Let's see. No tracks for a lion anywhere here that I can see. No. I'm just trying to listen also to the update on the Styx Pride and where they went. That sounds like they've gone deeper into Buffelshoek as well, which is not ideal. No signs of lions anywhere here. Like I said, I must be going deaf then, and my ears must be not well. Although Taylor was with me, it would be interesting actually to think what Taylor thinks as to where that roaring was coming from, because both of us sort of thought it was close by, and we had a couple of the other staff that heard it as well. So I don't know, maybe, like I say, it's just snuck in somewhere and I'm slightly off by our east or west, but I've done quite a big sort of loop around this section and quite far east and west, and there's no sign that I can see other than that sound that was produced. Also, funny enough, no tracks for Shongile. I didn't see anything around Galago Pan. Now I was having a little look there. There's nothing around Galago Shortcut, so I don't know where she went last night and what she went up to and where she kind of disappeared to, but maybe she just hopped across vertical access to the south, and maybe why I missed the tracks. I don't know, it happens that way sometimes. So Taylor says she has no idea where the lion was calling from. Well, thanks Taylor, that's very helpful. No, I'm joking. No, sometimes it's difficult, particularly when you're standing in the camp, because it's kind of quite sheltered and it's built in a sort of U shape. Often it can be a bit misleading as to where the calls are coming from. We often battle a little bit inside there to even hear them, and when you do hear them, it kind of, you battle to have an exact sort of pinpoint. You need to be out of the camp a little bit where it's not resonating and where it's not actually sort of vibrating around, and you don't have obstructions in the terms of walls and various other things to be able to then hear what's going on. We shouldn't just check by the old hyena den quickly on Mvubu Road. You never know. It was worth checking there the other day when we had Mvula and Shongile and all of them, so let's go and have a little look there quickly. Angus, you're asking how many hyena dens there are out here in terms of, I suppose you mean Djuma, as opposed to the whole of the Kruger Park, because the whole of the Kruger Park I can't tell you how many dens, but it would be many. But in terms of Djuma, active currently 1 that is actually got hyenas at it. But in terms of den sites that we know of, well, there's the one off Zoe's, the one off Philemon's Cutline, Elephant Carcass, Aubrey's, Galago Shortcut, here off Mvubu. Where am I missing? Oh, the one off Cheetah Cutline. So there's 6, I think, in total. I might be missing 1, but 6 as far as I know. But this area is just a road that leads down to a big termite mound, but it's always worth just having a look here. It seems like sometimes, and there's a lion track right there. Where did this lion track go? I had 1 lion track here. But there's definitely a lion track. Where did it go? I definitely had a track for a lion there, so I must maybe just go back and have a better look as to where exactly it goes. But this would be the lion that's calling, is from somewhere in this direction, so I need to just pay attention a little bit and see. No track, further track that I can see there. Maybe it cut off towards the right hand side here, down towards the pan. Just want to check on top of the mound. No, nothing around there. Craig, you see anything? Oh, I wonder where this cat has gone. I want to just quickly check down through here. There's a big game path that runs across towards Gallagher Pan. And I want to just check and make sure he didn't go this way or... Come on, where are you, kitty? It's one of those moments where you wish they would respond if you called them. No, nothing that I can see there. The problem is that it drops off steeply down into a big ravine here, and so if this cat is inside here, it's going to be very difficult for us to actually find it unless it's on the roads, but we've driven all the roads around this section, so that will make it quite tough. Now, I know there's a through road here because I drove it with Seb the other day. It's a bit rough, but we did get through eventually. See any further signs or any further tracks. No. Now there'll be a nice open section here where I'll be able to see very clearly. Just hyena tracks for this section. Alright, let's go back to that track and try and work out which direction this animal goes. I thought it might have gone straight down this pathway, but it hasn't. A lion track is quite an easy track to see. It's quite big. Right, I'm going to try to figure out what's going on here and where this all went, and while I do that, let's go across to Miss McCurdy with her golden locks and the golden light bumbling about.
Please, Tristan, please find us a cat, because I've picked up on little leopard tracks. I can only imagine on Shongile's. She's got little dainty feet. She's not a big leopard. Now, she's going up and down on the southern road between Shibamo and Treehouse Dam, but the fresher tracks seem to be coming back this way. I didn't see anything crossing out. Now I don't have her tracks anymore, so I'm going to check the fire break to see if she maybe crossed through the block and was actually heading towards Gowrie Main. Let me just check again. Don't know why I didn't see any footprints here before. Maybe it's because she hasn't actually walked here yet. Now, Shongile is the sneakiest leopard I've ever come across in my entire life. Her and Hosana, I reckon, plot against us as guides, especially as Karula's not around anymore. Perhaps this is how they keep themselves entertained, because every single time we have her tracks or his tracks going up and down here, we then get reports that no, there's fresh leopard tracks over the top of ours crossing out all the time, almost every single time that we come down here. So I really hope that that's not going to be the case today. So I'm just checking very, very carefully. Just want to make sure. I haven't seen anything on the ground just yet. I'm also just checking trees, some nice big marulas out here. I wish we could just snap our fingers sometimes. It would be so much easier if we could find animals like that and then they just appear. Almost like, you know, those first-person shooter games or adventure games when you're trying to locate something and sort of on a map. Every now and then they'll give you a clue and something will pop up in the corner and flashes on your map. We need something like that. Even we could just get a hint as to where to go. And obviously that's what the tracks are doing, giving us an idea of what the animal's route was. But when you're young like Shongile and you haven't got an established territory, it is very difficult to try and figure out where on earth they have gone. So I'm just going to check every single track we go past. It's just Impala and every tree. And she could just be in this block somewhere around here. Now there are huge termite mounds in here. I've walked through this block a couple of times. And there are many, many spots for her to sit, but it's also not one that's very easy to navigate. And unfortunately, I can't get out and go and spend 20 minutes trying to track her. Getting out the car and walking for 2 minutes, you're probably not going to find anything. So you really need some good quality time on the ground to be able to follow the tracks, because sometimes what happens, and we've seen it with animals, is you're following a set of tracks and the animal will go around a tree mark, something would have drawn its attention, would go back the way it's just come, then do 10 loops, and you know, and it takes time to figure out these types of things. So unfortunately we're unable to track like we should be able to track. I think if we had some more time on the ground, we'd definitely be finding more and more cats. But again, that'll help when the big herds of buffalo come through and the big herds of elephant return, and then getting the zebra and the wildebeest pushing through and just thinning out a lot of this vegetation. That can definitely help us as well. So we like having the animals around. I don't know if we're going to see elephants today. I don't have a elephant feeling. We haven't seen them for a few days now, which makes me a little bit sad. Who knows, maybe I get a surprise this morning. That is my wish for nature today, is to find a herd of elephants or a leopard. Actually more elephants. I don't mind about the cats too much. It was nice to have those lions last night though, but they're such a pest at the moment. They keep doing exactly the same thing, spending most of their nights around Sydney's, Manuleti, Buffelshoek, and then in the mornings they cross back to the west and then relax in Simbambili. And they've done that I don't know how many times, and last night we were chatting about it actually quite a bit. Now Birdie from Georgia, you said that it's like a treasure hunt. It is most certainly like a treasure hunt. But sometimes, most times, you actually end up coming up empty-handed. And you can see why people don't lose their patience, but they just sort of you can get quite bored with doing the same thing all the time. Track, and then nothing. Track, and then nothing. It's so disheartening at times. But it's difficult though. Tracking is not something that's particularly easy. That's why you don't see too many expert trackers, and I'm far from an expert tracker. Most of us as guides, we know the basics and we can follow tracks, but sure, to become a master tracker is something else. There's only a handful of them in the country. Nothing here. Now I'm deciding, let's go, you know what, let's go Weaver's Nest quickly. I don't know why I wanted to go up Weaver's Nest, but my gut's just saying, just go check Weaver's Nest. Okay, we'll go check Weaver's Nest. Maybe we'll go up towards Chelepa and come back down Twin Dams. But I reckon, if anything, this leopard might just be in this block. But I haven't checked Philemon's cut line either this morning. It's a bit difficult trying to track all on your own, trying to check all these different areas. Obviously Tristan's following up on his own footprints. The other guides, I'm not sure. It seems as though they're all just responding to sightings this morning. There is a lion, I think a male lion in Buffelshoek, as well as Mvula has been found. So this is the hardest thing, is now trying to check all these areas all on your own. You definitely do appreciate the help, because you can split up the work, and then you can also do those routes even slower. You don't want to track too slowly, because you could be 10 steps behind that particular animal and then completely lose it. It crosses out of your traverse if you don't pick up the pace. That's why we often will race, and we've got tracks, quickly race, check the boundary to make sure that they haven't crossed yet, and then carry on and trying to pursue the animal. But it is difficult. It's so hard. I can't even tell you how hard it is to track. But once you start doing bushwalks again, then it should be a little bit easier. Like I said, if you've got one person down on the ground, the guys in the car can call the tracks in, like what we used to do. You head on in there and off you go. That's going to be nice. No, nothing. Normally there's always a lion track going up and down this road. Not today. Sure, pressure on the questions today. Daniel from Washington, you're wondering, what is my favorite thing about Africa in one word? I think that's honestly an impossible thing to do. Sebastian, can you describe Africa in one word? I can't. It would be an entire paragraph. There's too many things. That's actually a very difficult thing to try and answer. One word, Daniel, I can't do it. Alice, can you do Africa in one word? There's just too many amazing, magnificent things about it. It's beautiful, wild, nature. What, people or the animals, Seb? Which one are you describing? I suppose then wild, yes, wild does describe, you cover quite a bit then. But that's actually, for me, Daniel, that's almost impossible to try and do. There's honestly just too many great things, from the sights, of course, to the beautiful big skyscrapers, to the big mountains, the beautiful oceans, the wildlife, all of these things, the plants and vegetation, and then let's not mention the different types of smells that we get, all the sounds. It's impossible to describe Africa in one word. If anybody can do it and give it an accurate description, I'll be super impressed. And yeah, you? Alice says intimate. Okay. No, hey?
Infinite, I think.
Oh, infinite. I thought you said. So Alice has got a bit of a cold at the moment, so she's slightly congested. So every now and then she says an odd word, and you're just like, eh. So we hope Alice feels better. We need to get Herbie to make her a witch's brew or something along those lines. So you said infinite or endless, I suppose. But to me, again, one word you can't describe Africa in one word. It's impossible. It's too difficult. So there's absolutely no leopard tracks or lion tracks on Weaver's Nest. So my gut, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just a feeling of hunger or thirst, and I followed it thinking that it was something to do with the tracks. I don't know. But we'll go down Chele Pan anyways, and then we'll go. And then we'll go down towards Twin Dams. Please, wind, go away. It's not pleasant when you're around. It's cold. It's not freezing cold, but there's definitely a chill in the wind. Perhaps it's to do with the snow that has fallen over parts of South Africa. There's a serious sort of cold spell. Maybe we're getting that too. Check around here. We're due to see Tingana again. I wonder when he's going to come back onto the property, if he isn't already here, just hiding away from us. He seems to like to hide away quite a bit, that man. Nope. Oh my goodness, that was a big yawn. Now, Heather from Canada, you're wondering if this is a particularly hard time of the year to find animals. It seems like it, doesn't it, Heather? But actually, this is the best time to come and do game viewing in this area. Can you believe it? Even though we're seeing nothing. Not even. Besides the Impala and zebra and wildebeest that we saw, and then these few Impala rams that are just up in front of us, there really hasn't been much at all. So the yellow season, the dry season, is the best time of the year to come. The vegetation dries out, it becomes a lot more thin, and the trees sort of lose their leaves. In summer, you cannot see 5 meters off of the road. It's a nightmare. It is so difficult. But summer is also really pretty, of course, because you've got all the different types of migratory birds that come to visit us. Lots of flowers, lots of green. You know, everything just looks so healthy. In terms of photography, the dry season again. The golden grass is so amazing with all the different contrasting colors of the animals, although in the Impala's case they definitely don't contrast against the golden grass. They blend in. It's one-horn Sean, our friend. Well, 1.5 horn Sean. We've seen him so many different times. That's so cool. He obviously likes this area. We have seen him on Weaver's Nest before. He's now at Chele Pan. So I suppose the two roads aren't too far away, but Impala rams won't necessarily move about too much, and it's very easy to tell that we're seeing the same Impala all the time because of that horn. I'm sure there are others out there that have broken their horns too, but the height at which that horn is broken is just so easy to spot. They're very fluffy today as well, so you can see that they were feeling the cold last night, but with the sun coming through, you can see they're nice golden lit Impala. Their coat should become soft and sleek once again. It's actually warmed up quite a bit now that I'm sitting still. It's just when you get moving, that chill factor that you get in the wind is, yeah, it makes your toes freeze. Now, as we've stopped here, I'm also listening. See if I can hear anything. Alice, please can you say the name again? The end part of the name is coming through very muffled. Oh, there we go. Safari Wild Man. Thanks, Alice. Let me try that again. Now, there's too many voices in my head today. I cannot concentrate. Let me turn the game drive radio off. I'm not going to listen to it anymore. Tristan, I'm sure, will be listening to the radio, so you can help me. But, Alice, can I have the whole question again? That was all too much. So, as you were talking, game drive was going as well, and I couldn't turn the volume down quick enough. So Safari Wild Man, you said that it was just lovely morning light. It is indeed. This is a nice time. But it's amazing how quickly and how harsh that light gets, though. It doesn't stay golden for too long. I suppose in the afternoon that golden light comes pretty quickly, but the sun is setting quite early, although that's all changing now. It's getting later and later every day. Soon, can you believe it, soon we're going to have to start getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm not looking forward to that. No, 3:30. Oh my goodness, that is going to be terrible. I love summer and I love the early mornings, but no person should be waking up at that time. But then I suppose I can't have it all, can I? I can't expect to have late mornings and coming out and watching these wonderful animals. At some part it's got to become slightly more tough, and if that means getting up before the birds wake up, well then I'll take it. As long as I don't have to sit in front of a computer. One Horn Sean, I like you. You might be my favorite Impala. I don't think I've ever had a favorite Impala before, but I think he comes close to it. He doesn't seem to have appreciated my compliment, though. He's not worried about me at all. He's just eating. Now, Aegis, you're wondering if that is battle damage on that horn. Most certainly it is. They've been fighting quite a bit, of course. I don't know how recent that happened. That could have happened years ago. He's not the youngest Impala. He's got a bit of experience, a bit of wisdom to his name. One Horn Sean. You know that a friend of mine, actually, he called a buffalo. There was this buffalo, and his name was One Horn Sean. He was missing part of his boss. It was an old buffalo bull, as old as they get, and it was the most devastating thing. I've never heard anybody so upset, but it was also really funny. I couldn't help but laugh. One night we'd stayed out extra late following this pride of lions that had been sleeping for most of the day, and anyway, my guests didn't want to stay out any longer, and I said, come on, let's keep following the lions, and true as Bob, my guests said, no, we want to go back. So I took them back to the lodge, and as we got back to the lodge, the lions caught a buffalo. And that's what happens. That's why you must spend as much time out in the bush when you ever come on safari. Here is my wisdom to you. I just want to quickly finish this story. And anyways, so basically these now, my guests were a little bit upset that they missed the buffalo kill, and I said, well, you have to sit out and bear with it and watch animals if you want to see something like that. And on the radio, this chap was, you know, saying, no, the lions are making a kill, it's a buffalo. And then you hear him on the radio do a stations, it's One Horn Sean. And he was genuinely so upset by the whole thing. It was so funny because he used to see that buffalo every day. I think he'd sort of almost seen him every day for about 4 years. So you can imagine the relationship that you build up with these creatures. Obviously something like a buffalo doesn't show too much emotion back to you, as you can imagine. But still, seeing the same animal all the time, you sort of form attachments. We don't have pets and things out here. Obviously these animals are completely wild, so you can't touch them and give them cuddles, but just pass them and have them glance at your way every now and then, you know, it does send a warm feeling through your body. But that's a story, well, that's an experience that I'll never forget. The sadness in this guy's voice about One Horn Sean that got taken down by the Southern Pride. And I'm sure he tells the story all the time too. Sadly, he's no longer guiding anymore. Right, let's carry on and see what else we can find. Oh, by the way, I brought my big bird book. Well, where is it? I've lost it already. I've lost the biggest bird book you've ever seen in your life. And I must be honest, I didn't get a chance last night to look at the breeding behavior of Coqui franklins. But I'll maybe try and do that at some point this morning. I went to bed very early last night and I tried to sleep, so I have to still do a bit of homework. I was very naughty. I'd get a whack on my knuckles with a ruler for not doing my homework, but I'm apologizing and I'm, you know, being open about it. Anyways, it seems as though Tristan is back in his car. I've also just picked up on lion tracks. Let's go across to him and find out what news he has.
Well, at the moment I've got nothing to show you yet, but there are tracks for this lion that walks straight to where we're coming now, and so far I can't see any sign of it, but this is exactly where I thought the roaring was coming from this morning. So I would imagine that somewhere in here, in this impenetrable thicket that we're in, is potentially a lion, which would be quite nice if we could find it. And I'm just checking very carefully just to see if I can't find the tracks again. The last tracks I had were around the old hyena den, coming south, and then from there they just disappear. It seems as though they may have dropped down into this drainage section, and that means it's going to be very tough to see them. As you can see, it's a very sort of steep drop off to our left, so I want to just go this way and see if I can't see anything. No, no, no. Here, kitty, come on. Now, as you can see, this is as far as I can really go on this particular road. But straight across from where we are is where those tracks were. So they were coming down, heading in this direction. I don't find anything crossing the road, so there must be somewhere in this section here. Fortunately, with the vehicle, we're not going to be able to go any further than this. So if she's down, or he's down here in the bottom, it looked like a track for a female. So I want to just maybe check. Craig, there's one place we can actually go to try and see if we can get down a little bit. Might just have to turn around quickly. But it's exciting if Taylor's got lion tracks as well down where she is. Hopefully she'll get lucky. She seems to have all the lion luck these days. I can't remember actually the last time I saw a lioness. It must be a while since I did. And hopefully if Taylor's got the tracks, she'll find them that side, and whoever this lion is will find as well. Come on. So Wendy, you've got to kind of do 400-point turns. Steering isn't quite as good as what Rusty's is, although now that it's had a little tune-up and got a new steering arm, it's a lot better than it used to be. At one point it was very bad with Wendy, like as Taylor always said, it was like turning the Titanic. No lioness, come on, where are you? Now I know there's a little gap to get down a little bit here. I just got to try and find it. The only other thing I can think of is that this individual is lying pretty much where we were looking, and I just maybe walked past it. It does happen sometimes. You see anything, Craig? No. Right, let's have a look if we can't just sneak through here. This is the way I went with Seb the other day, so we were able to get through here. It looks quite nasty, but we were able to negotiate this. Let's see. Let's go down. Come on, Wendy. Oh, I think low range is going to be in order for this. There we go. You're all holding on, Craig. There we go. Now, where, oh where is this animal? Michael, you're asking why the Agama Pride is not spending nearly as much time on Djuma this year as they did last year. Well, it's the simple reason for it, Michael, is that they don't have cubs this year. So they've got cubs that are old enough to move around with the Pride, whereas last year they had cubs that were much smaller that they gave birth to on Djuma, and those cubs can't move, so they have to kind of just move within the section around the cubs. That coupled with the fact that we had buffalo last year, and this year, well, as you can see over the last few weeks, I haven't seen a buffalo in a very long time, so there's not enough food to sustain them just here at the moment, and because there's no cubs, it means that they're not spending nearly as much time in this area as they would have done last year. So it's a little bit sad that we're not seeing them as much as we did last year, but you never know, maybe one of the lionesses will produce something at some point and we'll be able to then have the Agama Pride back here. It seems like they like to den on Djuma, so hopefully one of them will give birth again soon and we'll be able to then see them. Now I'm just trying to negotiate my way around this little thicket. Careful there, Craigie. There we go. Are we alright, Craig? But you can see why it's going to be difficult to find a single animal in all of this. So a lion lying down flat in the grass from where we are is going to be very tough unless we happen upon it just randomly as we're driving, which hopefully will be the case. No, nothing here that I can see. I don't know if we're going to find this individual in here. Because this takes us exactly back to where we were just now and where we kind of started with the tracks. So I was hoping that it was lying down somewhere in the sunlight over there. Maybe it's actually worth just checking back towards Gari Dam or Viatela Dam in case it crossed and I just missed the tracks. Now I'm going to carry on trying here and just seeing if I can't see any other signs. But while I do that, I believe Miss McCurdy is also in a state of feverish searching.
Yes, I suppose. We're going into the Mulwati now because there were a whole lot of birds that were shouting. I picked up on some male leopard tracks. I suppose we need to investigate. We're going to go certain. Hopefully we bump into something, because I feel like at this rate, with the wind that's blown the tracks quite a bit, I don't know how much luck we're going to have with tracking. Hopefully, Tristan, you'll prove me wrong. My tracks just keep disappearing off of the road and into great big blocks. But we're just going to drive here quickly and hopefully we find something. There's really nice spots around here for cats to sit in, particularly. That provide quite a bit of shade, also quite a bit of shade. So theoretically this should be a very, very, very good place to find leopards. But I think so far this cycle, the amount of leopard sightings I've had in the Mulwati, they use it constantly, they're crossing through all the time, but they just don't want to stick around here. And I find it so strange because the abundance of food for the leopards is outstanding. The amount of Inyala that we see in the Mulwati in particular, and bushbuck, even Impala to an extent, there's so many of them around here. Checking these massive jackalberries as well, perfect spots, and sometimes I think that we might even miss leopards up in trees because they've still got quite a dense bit of foliage, so it would be able to hide a leopard quite easily. See, this is what I'm talking about when I say a perfect spot for leopards to sort of sit and rest. And look at all these tamburtis and bush willows. Nice ridge so they can look down. They've got a slight vantage point. It's perfect. I think this is where Kruger had a den at one point too. It was in here, and you can see why. It's not Right, obviously the Wati, plenty of gremlins, but it's an area.
Well, they are, Taylor. You've got to be very careful when driving the Mulawati because they jump on from every angle. I've checked everywhere that I can, but with these big steep drainage lines that the vehicle can't get into, unfortunately, there's a very high likelihood that this individual is lying in one of those sections. So the last track is just in front of us there, and I'll show you the tracks. Hopefully I can find them again here somewhere to show all of you. They're not very clear, but Craig, can you see these ones here? I'm going to just try and reposition myself slightly, given that I'm in low range. But there we go. So that's what we're looking at over. A little bit closer, Craig. Yeah, there we go. There the lion tracks are. So you can see them coming down the road. It looks like for a female. It doesn't look like for a male. You can see the toes in the front, the back paws coming down. So somewhere in this mess, there is a lion watching us and laughing at the fact that we haven't found it yet. But those tracks are fresh. They're from today, this morning. So it's the same lion that we heard calling. Now where it is just anyone's guess. I'm going to have to try and just do another loop and hope that in the time that I've been stuck here, that maybe it's come out. It actually looks like there might be two here. Just looking at those tracks, it looks like there might be a second one with them. Maybe male and female, who knows? Let's have a look again and just keep trying. I think I might head to the hyena den, see if that's active, and maybe sit there for a bit, and we might get lucky with an alarm call or something that can just indicate a little bit better as to where this animal might have gone. I also want to just quickly check around the northern side. Even though these tracks are going south, sometimes what happens is you get a situation where they'll turn and they go back the way they came, particularly with the roaring and with others at Jacana Dam and north of us. Maybe these lions decided to turn and go back the way they came. They didn't come this way, they came from straight from the north, so let's try just north of us in case, and if there's nothing there, then we'll go to hyena den and we'll just spend a bit of time at the den and hope for an alarm call to work with. I think that's going to be the best plan. What do you think, Craig? Seems like a good plan. Okay, then let's do that. Craig, if you approve, then well, we'll do it. Ah, very nice. So there's a nice update for Taylor if she's in the Mulawati. Apparently there is some lions west of Twin Dams. Alice, if you want to let Taylor know, it sounds like maybe the Styx Pride, which is quite interesting. And there's also sounds like maybe a leopard there too. So if Taylor is around, she's going to get very lucky. There we go, so Taylor is there, which is fantastic news. Now, like I said, Taylor seems to get all the luck with the lions. I don't think we've had the Styx Pride in the entire time I've been here on Djuma, or seen on Djuma, and it sounds like they're now sitting just west of Twin Dams, which is fantastic news. So hopefully Taylor will get there fairly shortly and she'll be able to enjoy a nice sighting of those lions. No tracks for our lion this side. Let's see. JDM, you're asking which prey do lions have the highest success when it comes to hunting? This is an interesting one. I would imagine it depends on the time of the year, because in the winter months you're going to find a situation where the buffalo start to get a little bit weaker, and the lions then potentially will be able to hunt a little bit easier and be able to then find buffalo and be able to then kill them. So I would imagine that buffalo percentage goes up exponentially in the winter months. We saw last year with the Styx Pride how they were really good at hunting buffalo, and they brought down many a buffalo in the winter months, but in the summer the buffalo gets strong and it's more difficult. So in summer you find their percentage on buffalo goes way down, and they'll be more likely to catch things like baby impalas. Their percentage on baby impalas probably goes up quite a lot. So difficult. I think it's time of the year will dictate which one they have a better percentage on, but in winter most definitely probably buffalo, and they'll target buffalo more than anything else in the winter months. And that's why with the lack of buffalo, it means the lions spend a little bit less time in this area. I don't know where this lion has come from, because I can't find any tracks north of it, just those tracks on that little 2-track that we saw there, and maybe that lion was there the whole day yesterday and we just didn't even know about it. But it does look quite small, so it looks like a female track to me, but I could be wrong. Nothing coming north. No. What's this? Nope. Still no tracks coming north. I tell you what though, the hyenas have walked everywhere. This morning every road I've driven has had multiple different hyena tracks on it and multiple different footprints for hyenas. So it seems like they've been very busy during the night. Something on Wendy does not sound good at all. Just trying to negotiate this rocky section. That'll wake you up in the morning if you're a little sleepy going through there. Alright, well, let's check one more time along this section and see what we've got. Now, I believe Taylor McCurdy has struck gold, and she has the spotted elusive cats we've been looking for the last few days.
We have indeed. So this must be the leopard's tracks that we had walking all the way around here around Twin Dams. Who have we got up in this tree? Is this our dear friend Tamba? Is it? I don't actually know who we've got here. There's such a glare on my screen. Where's my cloth? Need to wipe it. Now, it's very difficult. There's lions in the sighting too. I can't see the lions just yet, but that would explain why this leopard is looking so panicked up and in this tree. It's not a small cat. There's a cat with a full belly too. Actually, I don't know who we're looking at. I'm gonna need your help. You can hashtag Safari Live. You can hashtag Safari Live, of course, with who you think we've got here. Doesn't look like a particularly old cat, or maybe it isn't. Can you zoom into the nether regions there? I think I see gold. And can we have a look at its rear end so I can confirm if it's a male or a female? You know, it's okay. Yes. Yes, it does look like a boy. I just wanted to check because, like I said, there's a glare on my screen. It's a nightmare at the moment. I don't know what. I've just got into the sighting. There's about 30,000 vehicles driving up and down and around here, which is proving to be quite fun. So I don't know where the lions are either. But apparently that there is lions in this sighting. So that's very cool. Alice, any word on which leopard this is? If it's maybe Hosana. I think, is it not Hosana? Maybe. Yes, it is Hosana. Our dear friend. He looks very panicked. Just those golden eyes. At the minute I thought it was Tamba because at one point they looked green or blue. But also Hosana's got that little notch in his top left ear, as you can see there, and golden eyes. So he's staring in the distance. He's not actually looking at us. He's looking through us at the moment. I'm just trying to figure out where these lions are in relation to where we are. He's very panicked. He's obviously been chased up the tree. Steph, you said that he looks scared. He does indeed look scared. He's not happy, and I can't blame him. If there's lions around, that is not going to be fun for him. Ah, wonderful. James Richard, thank you so much for confirming. You do say that it is Hosana. Most certainly, especially when he turned around and he stared at us like that and the light was just catching his face. That was very pretty. So I'm just trying to figure out which pride of lions we've got, even if it's a pride, if it's one lion, if it's a male, if it's a female, if it's just a baby. I don't know. You know just as much as I do right now, so I will try and figure it all out. Let's have a look. He's not happy though. He's got a good full belly though, so that's good to see. I'm sure you're all very happy about that. Look at it bulging out over there. Looks like he's about to give birth. And he must have had a kill somewhere around here. Maybe the lion stole something from him. But he's looking far away. I do want to... Should we quickly try and see, Seb, if we can find these lions, just to identify who they are? Let's do that quick. Past us, but they said there was a lion in here. Let's hope I don't reverse over them. Can you see a cat yet, Seb? No. I want to, of course, try and get hold of Aubrey and find out. Oops, do you know whereabouts those Impala were? Andrew, I cannot talk to you. Right. I'm just going to turn my radio off again. No one is being helpful. I don't know where the lions were. Apparently there were lions here. Perhaps they're already moving through. Oh, there they are. There. Sorry, I was looking the other way because it's easier for me to reverse. I need to go back into low range again. So we'll just try and keep an eye on both of them. Seb, what I want to do is I'll try and park us so that we can get a view of both of them. We've got an obscured view of a leopard, but let's have a look. I think it's the Styx lions that are here. I can just see some little ones. I can't see any adults just yet. Oh no, I can see one adult. But we'll have a look. Those are two of the little ones. Hello guys, it's been such a long time since we've seen you. Ooh, now Safari, you say that this is quite scary because the Styx are known to be leopard killers. I don't think that that's the specific trait that we can use to describe the Styx. All lions would be leopard killers, hyena killers, cheetah killers. They will take on anything. Remember, they compete directly for food, so it's normal that they don't like each other. I don't think we should say that the Styx are particularly lion killers. I can actually hear a bit of commotion. Now, don't know if it's maybe the little one suckling. I can hear some rows coming from the long grass. When Hosana is just over there, we have another look at him. I reckon he's waiting for a gap. I don't think he wants to stay up in that tree for very long. He doesn't look very comfortable at all. You can just see him. We're right on the boundary, of course, as well. Bit of growling going on down here. Probably the adult lioness is growling at the cubs. He looks like he wants to make a run for it as soon as he can. Let's see if he does do that. Or you're just going to go up higher and find a comfortable branch. Hosana, settle in for the morning. It's just amazing how quickly he would have gone up that tree too. And the lions won't be able to get him up there. I think if a lioness can climb that tree, I'd be super impressed. Because it's a very, very steep, straight base that I reckon maybe leopards only have the power to go up. It's about maybe about 10 or 12 meters vertical before, or sort of straight up before the branches start forming. Lions are very good at climbing trees, however not as good as leopards. They go up fairly well, especially if there are some low-lying branches, but they can't get down the tree. You might be able to hear the growling of the lions. There's another lioness. They're just in this thicket. We'll try and get a better view of them, but I also don't want to miss Hosana perhaps making a run for it, because it could be quite interesting to watch him dash down the tree. Have a little listen. Now, of course, as I say that, they all stop growling. Hosana is keeping a very, very close eye on us, though. There's the little one again. I don't know how many lions are here, if it's all 3 of the Styx lionesses and their cubs. There could be only 2 of the adults together. I don't know if there's a male here either. We'll go in and we'll try and have a look, but for the moment it's quite nice, the spot we've got. We can see both of the animals. Lots of movement. You might hear lots and lots of different cars driving up and down, desperately wanting to view the sighting, but unfortunately it is difficult because they're just too far onto our property. Now, Sally from Oregon, I did just answer this just a moment ago, but the question is from you, is he in a tall tree that the lions cannot get up? I don't know if the lions would be able to climb up of that. Like I said, it's a very, very long, straight base. If you have a look at that. It's about 12 meters up until the first branch, maybe even slightly more than that. Now, they might be able to, but would they risk something like that? I'm not so sure, especially with all these youngsters around. I think as long as Hosana stays up high and off the ground, the lions know there's nothing to worry about. But if there's 3 lionesses here, I don't think they'd be particularly worried about 1 leopard, especially a youngster. But Hosana, yes, you better be careful. You better watch your tail this morning. I'm just trying to figure out where he's been eating, what he's been feeding on. I wonder if they did maybe steal something from him. Maybe he was feeding down on the ground. What do you think, Seb? Do you want to try and go in and see how many lions, or do you want to stick like this?
I'd like to go see if we can get a better look at the lions.
Let's quickly try and navigate through here then. Oh, so you go back slightly. So, oh, please don't break the car in the lion sighting. Please. They have eaten something. I think they've stolen. I'm sorry, lions. I know there's lots of sticks here. Haha. What a play on words. There's lots of sticks here. I was actually talking about all the branches, but then I realized how funny I was being unintentionally. Now, the lioness on the right, actually, I don't know if you can see her now, but when she turned towards us, she had blood on the side of her cheek. That one that's just walking at the back there. Now she's going to sit in a spot. I reckon that Hosana must have had a kill around here. I'm actually looking for any remains, and I think he lost his kill to these guys. I don't know what it could have been. It could have been anything from a steenbok to a duiker, maybe even an impala. Maybe he was feeding on the ground, and then they've come through, and obviously maybe they heard the commotion. But it does look like Hosana did have something to eat, so at least he got something out of it. He's got a round belly. I thought that's maybe what happened. So those are definitely his tracks that we had in the Mulwati now, just slightly east of the Twin Dams, the watering hole. We were going round and round and round, searching, hoping that we were going to bump into him. I did have a feeling that he was here somewhere, so that's good to know. We finally got them, and it looks like all 3 lionesses are here. Cub-wise, I can't tell you how many there are. I've seen 3 so far, but the grass is so long, and they all seem to be, the others seem to be laying flat and suckling off one of the females. But You can't see it, unfortunately, so I'm not going to be able to confirm how many cubs are here until they move back out into the open. So that lioness keeps scanning over every now and then. You see her open her eyes, so I think she's watching Hosana. We actually have a view from here, Seb. That's actually quite cool. Look, Hosana's making a move. He's moving out into another branch, which is quite kind of him. So thankfully, we keep positioning us, getting ourselves into great positions this morning in terms of trying to see all the cats. And if you are seeing that power line, as we're on the boundary road, the boundary roads have all got the electricity poles. So that's just what that is. Yeah, he's not happy. I don't blame him though. I'd also be very stressed. You just had your meal stolen from lions. You can imagine it's the equivalent of having a home invasion, I suppose. Well, imagine somebody coming in and taking your dinner plates away from you and chasing you up a tree. It can't be a very pleasant experience. But he'll settle down, and this is of course just nature. The more encounters he has like this, hopefully he's learning and he's remembering and how to get away, you know, what to do, what not to do. But again, the wind could have worked against him, because can you imagine if the lions were just stalking him, which they do. I've watched lions stalk many other cats before. One of the craziest sightings I had was with Male from the Southern Pride and the serval. I told that story quite a few times. So we do see it now. Again, we were talking about the wind muffling sound. It could have actually gone completely pear-shaped for Hosana this morning, but luckily he managed to, of course, get away for now. Just trying to see what he's doing. Hosana stayed. He's moved back to his original position. They're all licking themselves, all grooming themselves. I'm just trying to think, because we haven't seen the Styx lions for a very long time now. They're still looking good. I also don't know how many cubs they have these days. The last time I saw them, I think there were about 6 of them. But again, that was many months ago, and what feels like maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and we know that unfortunately the cats don't always have the greatest success rate when it comes to raising offspring. And I also heard something about wild dogs in the west, if I wasn't mistaken, on the radio, so I'm sure Tristan's ears would be pinging when he heard the word wild dog, and hopefully he'll go and investigate. It'd be nice if they came across. It sounds like they're maybe in between Arethusa and Simbambili, somewhere around there. But wouldn't that be great if we went from having such a quiet game drive to all of a sudden finding all these wonderful animals. But unfortunately, the only thing that I have to say is prepare yourselves. We're not going to be able to stay here all morning. Unfortunately, you can imagine a sighting like this when you've got 2 of the big 5, and it's the 2 cat species of the big 5 in one sighting. People will come from every corner of the Sabi sands to come and see something like this. It isn't a very common sight. These encounters happen. I think these encounters happen more often than we think, but to actually be at the right place at the right time and catch it is the difficult part. But it's very limited view as well of these lions. I think I'm going to trade places. I don't think Andrew's going to be able to get in here behind me. Maybe if he goes this way, we'll just see. But yeah, I think he's going to hug that termite mound. Okay, so we'll just sit here for a little bit. The only thing I have noticed with the Styx lions, sometimes the cubs are a little bit jumpy of the cars. I noticed one cub actually got up and moved when we came in. That's why I stopped where we were. But not all cats are as relaxed as, well, some of them. Oh, there's another head that's just popped up over there. You can just see that looks like one of the little ones, the little lions. Not that one to the right.
Oh yeah.
There was one of them that was suckling. Like I said, you can just sort of make out shapes and figures through the long golden grass. So they're there, but we can't get in there, unfortunately. There's just too many trees and things around. Now, Exquisite Bliss, you're wondering if leopards ever go after lion cubs. Oh yes, most certainly. So that's what I was saying, is that even though a lion is potentially more of a threat to a leopard than a leopard is to lion cubs, they could be one of their biggest predators. Even baboons will kill lion cubs, leopard cubs, hyenas, and no problem. They'll take them all out. So you have to be very careful, and you can't blame, of course, the lionesses for being on the protective side. They also need to protect their gene pool.